All right. Hey, girls. Hey. Let's just do a live and a podcast today, shall we? Let's talk about celebrating imperfect success. So here's the deal. I just completed my final 30-day challenge of this year. And wow, it was as imperfect as it gets. And I am legit not, I'm not a perfectionist. I am an excellencist, though. I am that. And so that is where I do find it a little bit tough sometimes to have things not be done to the best of my ability. And I really had my hopes set high. I had 12x on my mind. There were so many things that I wanted to do. And I really am excited to talk about the imperfect success, because let me just start out with this. If you get nothing else out of this chat, listen, your progress is success. Your progress is success. I have this awesome picture. Where is it? I'm both on live and recording this podcast, and I'm going to throw this up on the YouTube when I get to that point. But this is what we thought, and this is what we got. Okay, there's a little mantra for you. This is what I thought, and this is what I got, and that is good. And I'm calling it so good. I have this gorgeous picture of this amazing marina that was at one point this prayer, and what we thought was this thing we thought we were stepping into, and it just turned into this 60 acres of land that we're on now. And that's a little bit like what my 30-day challenge went. Listen, the magic shows up when you do. Mantra number 2 here for today. There was some really incredible, amazing things that happened in this challenge. But 2 things in particular was progress and information for the future, for the next. Progress and information for the next. And there's no way to find that out without walking through it. And the enemy loves for us to just get hung up in shame, distraction, delay. So there are 3 things that I've asked the ladies in my 30-day challenge. And I'm going to just shout these babes out right now. I'm just going to shout out some incredible ladies that walked through an imperfect creation challenge that I know in my heart of hearts God called us to. And I really believe what He put on our hearts is what He wants to grow in us. What we chose is what He wants us to grow. And so Mandy, Nicole, Bree, Kenyelle, LaShawn, Franzetta, KT, Jenna, Jackie, Laura, Heather, Jen, Daisha, myself, Stacy, and I think another Maria was added into our little creation challenge group. I'm closing out this group, but I shout out you guys because you said yes. The first thing, this is imperfect success. We did not know where this was going to go, but we all said yes to the call. And that is ambitious. That is a visionary. That is faith. That is leaping into with the best expectations. And some people never even get off the couch, you guys. We are doing bold and brave things without knowing how it's going to turn out. And I think that that is adventurous and ambitious. And there's power in risk. And so I'm just applauding, yay, the risk that we took and all the pivots along the way. I've been reading this book, Grit, I believe is what it's called. Bianca, let me make sure, because I love to give. That's not it. Grit is by Angela Duckworth. Bianca. Grit Don't Quit. Bianca Althoff. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right, but she's Jasmine's sister. And she... Jasmine Star. Thank you. There you go. And one of the things that she talks about is pivoting. And there was a lot of that in the process. And the thing is, I think that sometimes we perceive doing imperfectly imperfectly or even incomplete as failures. And I really want you to picture this because I cannot find the picture myself. So you're just going to have to picture it yourself. You're just going to have to, in your mind, go to your imagination with me, please. Okay. And this is in LA it's not Rodeo Drive, but it's right in front of the Regent Beverly Wilshire Hotel. We go outside and there is this incredible car. I think it was a Lamborghini, and this vehicle had this license plate on the back of it. Picture it, okay? Fail forward. And I saw this license plate and literally got chills up and down my body. Crown chills is what I call when it comes all the way up to your crown, okay? Like just, I was like, whoo, that is a word in a license plate. Just a whole word in one license plate, like fail forward, because it is in doing things imperfectly that we find out the best ways to create the polished process that we truly desire. And so I want to talk about the 30-day challenge, but then I want to talk about something much, much bigger that I've been in the process of. So in this 30-day challenge, okay, I had like 12 things I wanted to do: read the Bible, pray my wild prayers, journal, do my vibration plate with my power book, get ready for the day, like shower, makeup, all the things, dress for joy, hit 150 grams of protein every day, podcast every day, post times 2, put something in my story, do a TikTok, and help my boys do posts as well. Totally seems doable. Totally seems doable. And actually, I would say it totally is doable. And I can tell you exactly what was part of the downfall in not being able to accomplish those things. Some of them were in my control and some of them were outside of my control. And identifying those factors is part of the process. This is information. It's gold. You walk out of imperfect progress with gold. And here's some of the gold I can tell you. Let me just give you the recon. What is it when you go after a mission and you walk back through? This is what I have found out. Things within my control. I should have created one of my processes in my planner. Is called the perfect day, where it's not every day and it's almost impossible to hit, but the further and further you get along in trying to hit it, wow, it's amazing how your life aligns to your dream life when you keep just gearing toward the perfect day. And I put it in my habit tracker, but I didn't put it in my perfect day of my planner. That was part of the downfall. That was part of what kept me from meeting my goals. Was next time I do this, I will actually put in at what time. Because if you can't track it, you can't attack it. If you can track it, you can attack it. You want to make your goals measurable. And measurable also includes where in the measure of time does it fit in your day, in your week. And so I would go back and habit stack those and go, at what exact time am I reading the Bible? At what exact time am I praying my wild prayers? At what exact time am I journaling? And for how long? And got that down to that nitty gritty specific about it, because that would have helped me go, getting off track right here, and let go of some things earlier rather than going, my plan was on my habit tracker to put them in order, and that would be enough. Anyway, what I'm saying is here, let me just swing over to the things that were out of my control. And give yourself some grace, write yourself some permission slips to go. Pivot was needed. Pivot and permission is needed in these scenarios. So these are the questions that I asked my group at the end of the challenge, and maybe some things that could have been some reflection questions every single week. Note to self. Note to self. Maybe these could be done in the planner, actually, in the weekly planner. Number 1, how far did I get? Number 2, what did I not expect? And number 3, what do I want to do next? This goes along the lines of what did I not expect? There were sicknesses. There were twice things that happened with my grandma that knocked me out of my mental process. I went to visit her one of those times, but even the time that I didn't go visit her, I was in a flow with the podcasting thing, which ended up being my main thing. And I'll do another podcast on getting in the zone. But even when I was in that flow, when my grandma fell and she was hurt, and then it turned into she's moving out of her home and even out of her city back into assisted living and into a whole nother place. There were texting, and then there was praying, and then there was talking to my husband. And then all of a sudden I was in another process that completely took me out of my mental process. And then I just wasn't in it. I wasn't in the flow anymore. And that was out of my control. And the meaning wasn't there anymore. And so what I didn't expect was for sickness, health, and family needs to take me out of my process. And also what I didn't expect was to step out and not be able to just step right back in. What became my zone, and I'll talk about this on another podcast, being in the zone. What became my zone was 30 podcasts in 30 days. I pivoted from 30 days of podcasting, hear the language, to 30 podcasts in 30 days. That pivot was huge. In that momentum, when I let off the brakes and I got out of my mental process for 3 different things, it was very hard to get back in. One was just my heart with my grandma. The second was my head. After I was out with my heart, then along came some major, massive homework time and stepping into my clinical supervision work, which required, I knew it was going to be a lot. I did not know how much it was. I should have allotted above and beyond. And that took me out of so I'm checked out emotionally, checked out mentally, because I'm like, listen, every second needs to be given to my studying. I became not just diligent about my clinical supervision homework, because I was at the time working toward becoming an Oklahoma clinical supervisor for licensed professional counselors. Yay! But I fell in love with that. The content that I was studying, I was just like, there were times I had chills. I was in tears. I was like, this is going to be my favorite thing ever. And so my head was in that game entirely. And it was very hard to then, third thing, in the midst of travel, I lost my setup that is right here. I've got a setup here and over at another cabin. And I didn't have my setup. Even though I had my portable thing available to me. And then the final bonus piece that was out of my control was when I finally tried to catch up, I couldn't. Literally was not capable, possible, able to. The podcasting platform that I use, the Spotify for Podcasters, which connects to, what is that called? Hi, Gary V's texting me here. Little flash text. Anyway, I can't think of the name of it right now. I'm even trying to pop it open right now. What is the name of that? Anyway, I could not get into it. Even right now, I'm on my computer trying to open. Every single web page opens except for creators.spotify.com. Don't even know if or when this is going to be able to actually upload. But what I can tell you, thank you, Daisha. I'm live and podcasting. So thank you, Daisha, for showing up. She said, I love that shirt. The shirt that I have on, I'm intentionally wearing my shirt that says, stop rescheduling your joy, because it brings me joy to podcast hardcore. And so here's my final, in the questions, Daisha, I'd love to ask you these questions. I'm going to share your questions on the podcast that I'm recording right now. So those were the things that I did not expect. Releasing shame and blame and all of that was so important, because otherwise, here's what I was going to have to do. In a matter of a few days, I locked in to, okay, let's release all these 12 things. What became the zone was get the podcast done and pray my wild prayers. I was still dressing for joy, not journaling, getting a lot of protein in, not quite 150 grams, barely posting, barely on social media at all. And just like narrowing it down to the zone. Okay. And when I would try to get the podcasting done and even just publish the podcast that I did do, literally incapable of opening the website that allows me to post those podcasts. I literally cannot even now. I bet you $1 million after I get this one done, I'll be able to. I bet you. It was as if these are the moments where God says, no. You want to achieve, you want to make the grade, you want to check it off your list, and I'm telling you to stop, hold up, and instead of pushing through and making it work, here's a tip. Anytime, babes, you hear yourself going, I can make it work, maybe don't. That's something to get curious about. Reframe, reimagine, get curious, revisit that, because 9 times out of 10, you're not supposed to make it work. You're supposed to relax your grip and let it go. And I was in the process of going, I can still get this done. I can still at least get my 30 podcasts in 30 days done. And the last 2 days of the 30-day challenge, success to me looked like getting those final batch of podcasts done. I had the content, I have the titles, I have the podcasts, it was just about cranking them out. But here's the thing, podcasting brings me so much joy. To share, to take the space to sit and chat, and even though you might not be listening in the moment, to know it's as if we're having our coffee together. And whenever you come and join with me in this podcast, whenever you come and join with me in this live, whenever you're here, I know it's going to feel to you like we're sitting here together. And when I'm sitting here before you get here with me, it feels like I'm sitting here with you. It blesses me. And to crank those out would not have been the vibe. Would not have been the vibe at all. And so I wanted to crank those out. I wanted to get those done. And yet, when I tried to do it, God legit would there was no way for me to upload the podcast that I even had already done. So when God blocks your progress, when he gets in the way, it's time to stop. It's time to stop and reimagine and go, whoop, what are my core values? What defines success for me? And I think that this is really important. This is really important. A very important piece of this whole process is you've got to decide what defines success for you. It just so happens in this last week, I came across, hear that? This little sticky note. I came across this. God is so good, you guys. It was a study that we did on things that bring us joy. And if I'm doing these things in these way, and if these things are part of the process, then there's some success in it. And this was just a brainstorm piece. And these are some of the things that I was brainstorming: joy, hype, freedom, teachability, vision, mastery, language, words, order, courage. And it literally says, with a zero and a line through it, meaning not perfection. These are the things that I value in success, that success looks like all of this in the process. All of this in the process makes it successful to me. And that was so powerful. It was just God reminded me, number one, I'm not letting you in that website, because you will go back to grading, achieving, people pleasing, and checking things off a list and legalistically getting things done and making it work. And we've learned that the most important thing is to bring joy to the process. I even have on my vision board right now, it says do anything. And it's literally under a picture of me podcasting. And it says do anything, but let it produce joy. Do anything, but let it produce joy. And God just reminded me in all of this to stop, that I get to change it. It's not something I'm getting graded or paid for. There's no grade and there's no pay here. So what would make this a joyful process? What can I celebrate? And here's the next question that I asked my challengers. What do I want to do next? I want to finish podcasting in the most joyful way. So, cheers to me. Cheers to us stepping into releasing things, letting the finish be the finish, letting it be the way that letting it end the way that it ended, right? Letting it just be the way that letting it be. And in that, creating space to remember, what is success to me? What does it look like to me? What are my values? What do I value? And what does success look like to me? And making space to remember that reminded me, it's got to produce joy. It's got to have joy in it. The most joyful thing that I can do is go, dang, I did. Let me see here how many I got. I got cranked out. 16 podcasts done. in 30 days. 16, over half. That's the flex. Over half feels good. I'm going to do 14 more podcasts. This is one of them. I actually have some to publish. I have 16 podcasts that I recorded and 14 more that I'm going to do in the next, before the end of the year. And whether it's 2 a day, 3 a day, 1 a day, whatever that looks like, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm excited about taking my time and doing it where it fits best, where it brings the most joy, and in a way that feels like that feels like joy, hype. I get to use my language words with order and courage, freedom, teachability, vision, mastery, and is not perfect, is not perfection. And we're allowed to implement pivots and permission slips. So my question to you in your process, celebrating imperfect success, okay? I'm looking for, I think my confetti dropped. Celebrating imperfect success. Let me see. Where did you go? Give me 1 second. Well, I have a celebration. Celebrating imperfect success. One, in the beginning, what I would like to have done differently is plug in exact times and define right off the bat, with every challenge, with every process, right off the bat, the reminder, an assignment that any progress is success, period. And then really make sure and define success for everyone involved. What does success look like to you? Does it have to be that you that you cross every T and dot every I? And then allow for God's space and grace. Allow for God to do things that help you show up in ways and at times and in spaces when you don't think you can. When you think you can't, keep going. Excuse me. Stay in your process, because there are times you can when you think you can't. And then also when you really can't, just let it go and know that, like, if there's no pay and no grade, let's just make sure there's joy. And then where can we pivot and insert permission slips? And remember, this might be what I thought, but this is what I got. I got 16 podcasts done, plus this one, which is a pretty powerful word and reminder for myself and all of us that we've got to celebrate imperfect success. The bigger picture for me is that this year in my women's group, Mavens, we spent a whole year knowingly walking through an imperfect progress to observe and over and over and over in 2-degree shifts, align, so that knowingly we could create the most polished process possible the second year and the third year. Knowingly. And it was incredible. And the way that I especially just had to overcome any shame, blame, discouragement, any feelings of needing to show up or let it be, like just letting it go, surrounding myself with other women who are also releasing and relaxing grip on perfection and any of those things, and supporting and seeing that excellence is in the effort, and that grace is the way, and that there is power in the pivot, and that the magic is in the showing up, that walking for a year with support like that, what is more successful? There is incredible hallelujah in seeing how far you've come. So be sure and stop and write that progress report and go, I did 16 podcasts in 30 days. And I closed out a year of Maven's mastermind calls and supported my daughter and grandma in major hard times, and traveled on a whim in almost last minute to go see my daughter because holidays / her cat died. Big heavy stuff for her. And also completed 40 plus hours of coursework to become a clinical supervisor for licensed professional counselors for Oklahoma. So maybe this is what I thought and this is what I got. And that, let me just say one more thing. The other thing in setting up goals and challenges is when there's a timeline, is really writing out, like having a separate calendar, something where you really write out what are all the holidays, what are all the birthdays, what are all the travel days, what are all the things that are happening in these days, and account for that. Subtract for that. Make space for that. Decide how we're walking through those things. Create strategy around that. So here's what I think. I am going to, my celebration, my reward, which I still get, is that I really want to have a Stacey J show like sweatshirt. And I don't know, maybe do 3 winners, like the first 3 or something. I don't know. Maybe I'll do 3 more for other people that at the end of the year, for at the beginning, I don't know, maybe I'll create them to sell. I don't know, something. But I really want some kind of, I love merch and I love sweatshirts. So something like that. And then some kind of a celebration, just celebrating wins, something. I'd hope to do it with a bunch of us, but I feel like everybody is so busy and doing so many things right now that I think I'm going to wait until either Maven's graduation or do something like with my family. Something maybe local in the next few days, and just nip it in the bud and close this thing out, because you got to close it out. So that's what I'm going to do next. How far did I get? 16 podcasts in 30 days plus all the other things I said. What did I not expect? Add to that, what would we do differently? And then next, what do I want to do next? So ask those questions, write those permission slips, consider those pivots. What Bianca said in her book, The Grit Don't Quit, she said this about pivot. It's the uncanny ability to improvise. I love that so much, because I think of pivot often as just changing it and going a different direction. But I love that she used the word improvise, because I'm an OG drama major, and that involves spontaneity and creativity and performance and drama. And improvise is producing something from something else. And I just love that she uses that word to talk about pivot. Uncanny ability to improvise. So there you have it. Celebrate imperfect success. Progress is success. I'm proud of you. And I would love to pop some confetti for the ladies in the creation challenge, but I dropped it and I think it fell under my little side desk here. So there's my confetti. Second to that, I try to have bubbles on hand, and I don't see my bubbles on hand. I try to have them everywhere, which I love to use bubbles. But here's what we can use when we don't have anything else. Here's the celebration shout out. My kids know this. Teach it to your people. Here's how it goes. A. Got it? G-O-O-D. Spells good. G-O-O-D. J-O-B. J-O-B. G-O-O-D. J-O-B. Good job. Good job. So-and-so. So I'm going to say that for all of us, for you, Daisha. Daisha said illness and travel. Same. Took me out, and I had trouble stepping back into all 5 of my goals. Without the challenge, I would just stay out. So I pivoted, improvised to picking 2 of the 5 goals to focus on. Yes. Yes. You got in the zone, girl. Thanks for showing us how to do that, but also that it's okay to maybe don't. Yes, maybe don't. Maybe don't. Thanks for that input, Daisha. And now your feedback is on there. I'll talk about, I'm going to share more about being in the zone too. I did that in the live in our Facebook group, but I'm going to do a whole podcast on that. So we've got that up there. All right. So here's how we're celebrating when you don't have confetti and you don't have bubbles. You do the A-G-O-O-D-J-O-B. Good job. Good job. So I'm going to do that for me and Daisha and the Creation Challenge babes. Hey! That's the prompt. When I say, hey, then my husband and my kids, the mavens, whoever's around, know it's time. We hear an A. Time to jump in with G-O-O-D. So you know, that's how you teach your people. If you hear me say, hey, then even last night, we were sharing, every night we share highs, a high, a win, and a gratitude. And Isaiah was sharing about his math test. And so I said, hey, and then we all chime in with G-O-O-D. Okay, here we go. This is for you. This is for me. This is for us. Hey, G-O-O-D-J-O-B. Good job. Good job. You, me, us. Way to go. Keep every day celebrating imperfect success. Yes.